1100 WSGI, Springfield, Tennessee, God's Informer.
There's excitement in the air that's growing stronger.
One street over there's a life I could have known, one beyond my wildest dreams. Maybe that road could have carried me to streets of gold, but things aren't always as they seem. Looking back on all the chances that I missed, some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist, I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I have today. Time's gone by, I've traded black dirt into clay. I thought my memories would end. One street over's now 1,000 miles away. When I close my eyes, I'm back to where I've been. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today.
Hello, how you doing, Robertson County and all points beyond that might be tuning in and listening to us? This is 1100 WSGI. I'm U-Turn LaVern, and this is one street over, and my dear sweet friend that I just don't get to visit with enough, Tiffany Thomson's here. And I ran into you. It was so funny because, and number one, I see you and I'm like, oh, you have just transformed yourself. You've dropped you've dropped. I struggled with my weight. I have my entire life.
Me too.
You know, and it's just a constant for me. Those of you who can eat anything you want, shut up. I don't want to hear from you. God bless you. I love you, but no, I don't want to hear from you. But anyway, I'm somebody that I have to, and the older I get, the more difficult it is. And I have to just constantly be aware of it. And when I see somebody that I know has the same struggle, and then I see them succeed in getting fit, I'm just like, yes, because I know how it feels. And you just look, you've always been beautiful, but I can just see you feel so much better, but you look fabulous. And she comes walking up to me when we were getting the Springfield sign lit up on the cinema. And I almost didn't recognize you for a minute,
I get that a lot lately, actually.
My husband even said, he goes, he said, was that so-and-so? And I said, that's Tiffany. He goes, what? He did, because he thought you were somebody else that we know that we don't see a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, that's Tiffany. He goes, really?
I went to my aunt's wedding in January, and I went and hugged my uncle and then walked away. And then he turned to his wife and he was like, was I supposed to know that person?
I love it.
My aunt was like, that was Tiffany. And he was like, what?
Yes. Anyway, yeah.
Anyway, I don't really like talking about it, but thank you.
You just, yeah. But it's okay. Well, I'll shut up then.
It is a long journey. It's been a lot of work for a lot of years.
Yeah. And I'm on that journey. I've been trying, because people, my kiddos at school know this more than others. We had, if you know Jillian Michaels, the Biggest Loser chick, just love her to pieces. She was just so good and kind mine to my family. She did a thing called Losing It with Jillian Michaels. It was a relief series while she was on Biggest Loser. And she did about 6 or 7 episodes, and we were one of them. And it was basically she would go in and try to help families get fit and all this kind of stuff. And what happened, this is, in my heyday in radio, and I say heyday is actually in 2010, and they laid me off in 2012 after 28 years on a phone call. Radio is brutal, but anyway,
life is brutal.
I know. I just love saying that. This is the reality of broadcasting. It's entertainment, and you just have to accept that. But anyway, I digress. So we were in the middle of some stresses in our family because my husband had developed this. He had atrial fib and atrial flutter that they'd found out. So we had to close our business, and he was in this process of being in the heart, surgeries and all this kind of stuff. He's fine now, but we were about 10. I mean, it was years of trying to figure out what was going on with him. So he was unemployed for a time. I had my youngest son who had dealt with a lot of bullying in school because he's like 6'9" and just a big dude all over, and got just harassed really bad in a Christian school, and I mean that happens anywhere. I mean it just happens, and it's just kids.
Kids are brutal too. Radio is brutal. Life is brutal. Kids are brutal.
But it's life, and you just go and you trust the Lord, and you pray on it, and you leave it at a throne, and you go, it's okay. And so I was on the radio one afternoon, and we were kind of wrapping up, and you know how you'll kind of surf around, and something pops up that they're looking for families to do this show with Jillian Michaels. And I mean, everything they said, I'm like, wow, that sounds like my family. And I just kind of jokingly sent them an email. And I mean, within minutes, I got a response. I wasn't serious. I was just like,
you're like, yeah.
And I had some friends that had done a reality TV show. And I was like, that we might make a little money or something, But then as I got to think about it, I'm not letting my kid do that on national television. And then the more we got into it, and I mean, they really pursued us hard. And because I was already in radio, because I didn't think they would really want to do anything because I was already in media, but they're like, oh no, we like that. And so I had a couple of counselors at my church that I talked to that had counseled with my son, and they said, we think this would be good for him. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And so we did it. It was an exceptionally positive experience.
That's cool.
It was fabulous. So anyway, I lost weight then, and I want to get back down to my Jillian weight. Now, it's not that far.
Yeah.
But, 10 pounds, But it's just so hard when you get older. And I don't want to take the shots and all that kind of stuff. I know everybody's talking about that being a miracle drug, but the Lord made me able to do it. I want to do it myself, So I don't know. Anyway, but you've inspired me.
Thank you.
And I say all that. It took me nearly 10 minutes to say hello to my friend and to say all those things. And everybody knows I'm just all the time. So, but I want to tell y'all what Tiffany and I were talking about just when she sat down, because tell them what your education's in. Talk to them about your education.
My bachelor's degree is in behavioral science with an emphasis in social work and a minor in American Sign Language. And then I like to throw that in because it's kind of fun. And then I
didn't know that about you. And I'm like, really? That's cool.
Yeah. And then my master's degree is in conflict management.
Okay.
And then I'm working on a PhD in communications.
Okay. Well, see, and I'm so proud of you. I just love all that. And so with all that said, sometimes working in the capacity, being a teacher, working with Celebrate Recovery, working in missions and all these things, sometimes you meet people that just challenge you. And
yes.
I'm dealing with a challenge right now of somebody that just keeps seemingly taking advantage of the people within the Celebrate Recovery community. They've got a difficult story, and people, and they take advantage. And when everybody's like, well, but you need to do this yourself, and they don't want to do anything themselves, and then they get angry, and they're a little bit scary, when they get angry. And this has been going on and on and on for a while. And so but as Christians, you go, turn the other cheek, always, just give and give and give. If they ask for your shirt, give them your cloak, all these things. But then you kind of go, but you're really kind of making me nervous. And I think you're making a lot of people, I don't know. And you try to not be anxious about anything.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same sense, tell everybody what you told me about how you can deal with these circumstances.
Well,
There's a couple of things, and I'm going to write them down as she says this, because this is who I need to talk to about.
Well, first of all, we're talking about, in the Christian context, like we're called to love God and love one another, and enabling people is not loving them.
That's the best thing you said right there.
I think sometimes we think, oh, we just have to give more and give more and give more and give more, but actually what we're doing is we're enabling and we're destroying their ability to do it themselves. And so, but people who have been enabled their whole life then turn to anger or whatever when you don't, as a trying to manipulate you back into enabling them. So it's just a tactic that they're using to try to scare you into, like you said, like he was scary, right?
Yeah.
He was scaring you, because then people will give people what they want if they can scare you. Sometimes you do it just to get them out of your, get them away from you, like here, take it and go, right, type of a thing. So, but it's just a manipulation tactic. Sometimes that anger is. But then, you said he was also making a lot of excuses with anxiety. Well, I've got anxiety. I've got chronic anxiety. And
Talks about anxiety all the time.
I can't do anything because I'm anxious. And so I was just talking a little bit about John Deloney and the work that he's done around anxiety. And he says it is your body's fire alarm. And to ignore the fire alarm and sit there while the house is filling with smoke and the fire alarms are going off is it's not going to solve the problem. And we're going to continue to live in anxiety until we realize why we have anxiety. And there are some, just misfirings of the brain, but for the majority of us, there's something in our life that needs to change when we're extremely anxious. And I just went through something like this, very personal in my life, but and I was ignoring all the things. I was like, you need to leave, you need to leave, you need to leave, you need to get out of here.
This needs to change.
And I ignored it, and my anxiety just increased. And so, and you said he was homeless, living in his car. I'm like, of course he's anxious. Like he's not, he doesn't have any stability. He doesn't know if people are going to give him what he needs. The only tool he has to survive is to ask people for what he needs. Can you imagine living like that?
I can.
That would make me anxious too, to not know, are people going to give me what I need? And so, so sometimes you can choose to live in your anxiety, or you can choose to do something about it and do the work. Sometimes it takes going to a therapist to find out why the alarms are going off, because we don't instantly know. Some of us have been trained to ignore the alarms through childhood trauma, and so so there's just a lot of things we can do, but there's a lot of help out there too, so we need to tap into it.
Well, see, and that's one thing, because of I spent 7 years working at the Madison Church of Christ, and I was working with the missions committee, and I also worked at the Benevolence Center, and I was not officially full time, but kind of, so that was my primary job, and I worked in the newcomer community with a lot of Egyptian immigrants and different ones like that, and one of the reasons why they just stole my heart is because they just came here and hit the ground running. It's like, what can I do to be productive, to provide for my family? And I mean, it was none of this, what can you do for me? Right. It was like, thank you for the help. Now, what can I do to make sure you don't have to help me anymore? And I mean, that was their attitude. And I just every now and then I'd meet somebody in the immigrant community that was, wanting to take advantage, but very rarely. And what's really funny is the ones in that community, they would be like, yeah, they knew. They knew the ones that were doing that. And I had them so many times come to me and say, LaVern, we need to figure out, because this person's taking advantage. They're lying and taking and getting food stamps, and they do not need it. And they're just like, they would out them, man. I mean, it was like they didn't like you.
Well, you ruin it for one, you ruin it for all.
Exactly.
So it was probably something they were very, very protective of.
And so as I worked in that community, I got to know about the programs that are available. I mean, we are inundated with opportunities to help people who find themselves in a homeless situation, who find themselves in difficult situations, who are in addiction. There are so many recovery programs. If you really want help, it's there. But you have got to put some skin in the game. And I can't begin to tell you how many times I had conversations with people in the unhoused community, homeless community, whatever you want to call it, about the programs available through the mission up in Nashville. You know, and I'm telling you, you can go to the Union Rescue Mission, and if you go in there, no, you're not going to be able to do things the way you want to do. You're going to have to follow their rules. But if you go in there and you show them, I really want something better, they've got programs to help you get there. And they're going to help you get there.
Right.
You know, and it's like people would come to us. Our benevolent center at Madison is about food and clothing is what we can do. Well, people would come in needing housing. And at the time when I was there, the Nazarene Church was doing a great job at helping people get housed. And so we'd say, okay, here we can do this, but now go down here and talk to them. And they've had some really good avenues to help people find housing and different things. And so we would all kind of connect the dots. And United Way is great at connecting those dots. Let's just go there. You know, they're the bridge builder, and Brian's not coming today, by the way. So I don't know if anybody's coming in today at 7:30. Lee Marie may send somebody in here, but I told her, I said, I got Tiffany. We can talk. But so anyway, it's just that I know those programs are out there. And so I say that to say that this person that we're struggling with in our community, in our CR community right now, you know, you've given me some things to sit. I am going to have to sit down and talk with them personally, and maybe with some of the church leadership, and just say, this has got to stop. This has got to stop. We got to find a better way. You're welcome here, but we've got to set some parameters here, because there's just, he's bringing a lot of fear with him. And that's just, everybody was super uneasy last night. Yeah. And I'm like, this isn't good. This isn't good. So anyway, thank you for the good advice. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm still learning along with everybody else. And like, I haven't had to walk that road of addiction in that same way, but I've worked with a lot, you know, I've had a lot of friends and worked with people that have, and, you know, sometimes it's hard to watch them hit rock bottom, you know, and I have a friend whose son was, suffered with addiction, and she's like, it was hard. I set a tent out on my front porch for him, you know, like, so she's like, that was as much as I could do, because I knew if I kept letting him come inside the house, he was never going to get the help that he needed. And, you know, so, I mean, I just can't even imagine, you know, but setting those boundaries is hard. So. Yeah.
And then in the same thing, I've heard stories of ones that just continue to help, and they don't. It's almost like they don't continue to enable. They just manage to get there, and it's just, you just, man, be in prayer, be on your knees about it if you're facing this stuff, and talk to people like Tiffany, you know, and say, you know, when my son, who is a clinical counselor, I will call him and he'll be like, "No, Mother, I'm your son. I don't need to be counseling
not your therapist."
Yeah, exactly. And he does that because I mean, that's not a good
he's got to set boundaries too, right?
Yeah, like, exactly.
I mean, and the thing is, setting boundaries doesn't mean that you don't give someone dignity. I think sometimes that's where we get mixed up. Like, if I set a boundary, then I'm taking away their dignity. We can set boundaries with dignity. Like, tell them, I love you, I respect you, but I cannot continue to enable you, because that's not love.
Okay. I love that line. Enabling is not love. And that's something that I think we're going to put as a banner up in the situations we're dealing with. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Now, Tiffany is here to talk about something completely outside of this. And we may get some time. You know, it's so funny. I was messaging Pierre last night because I know you work closely with him now.
Yeah.
And love Pierre. And we're trying to find a monitoring system that we can borrow for our talent show.
Oh, okay.
Because I bought all kinds of equipment, mics and cables and all this stuff, so we can really mic our talent show and all this. And I've completely forgot about monitors. And we've got a drummer that really needs headphone monitors, and a couple of the guitar players, because they're loud. These are rock stars, man.
That's awesome. I want to come to the talent show.
I'm telling you, they're good. And so I would love to just borrow some in-ear monitors, or just some with, you know, headphones for my drummer especially. And we'll get them right back to you after the show Tuesday morning. And then I'll put them in my budget to get them next year. But I just, with everything else we needed, I just forgot about it until the drummer came up and said, "Hey, what are you going to do about the monitors?" I'm like, oh, I knew I was forgetting something. So Pierre told me to call him today, and we're going to try to figure something out. I just love him.
Pierre's the best.
He's just, I mean, just gives, and you too.
Yeah.
So what is it?
We make a good team.
Talk about what y'all are doing.
Okay, so right now I'm a board member for Generations Next, which I think a lot of people know our Sports Alliance program.
Right.
Our flag football is very well established and is doing great and making, you know, I put my kids in it because my kids didn't grow up. We didn't have the capability of doing athletics when they were little. We just didn't have it in the budget. I had 5 little kids in 8 years. And
it's expensive.
It's very expensive. But by the time, they got a little bit older, and I really regretted that, by then, like, the band had marched on, type of a thing. Like, they were no longer competitive enough to play at their age level. And so we found flag football and put my kids in that. And this program is really designed to make sure every kid touches the ball. Doesn't matter their age, their ability, and every kid gets to play every game. And so for me, that was important because I wanted them to learn the things that you learn when you play sports. Yeah. And so I put my kids in, and it was a really good experience for them. My daughter fell in love with flag football. Four out of my 5 kids played, but she really loved it the most. And now my twins are facilitators for flag football, so they go and they help set up and they keep score and all that stuff. And so it's given them anyway, just community connections, which is huge, right? Yeah, for sure. And so Generations Next is really a nonprofit focused on creating positive childhood experiences. So we just sat here and talked about all these, like, people have hard things that go on in their lives, and children especially do. And we know that adverse childhood experiences impact our physical and mental health. Well, in the last 10 years, they started studying positive childhood experiences and how that impacts it. And we've learned, or they've learned through science. I'm pretending I'm one of the scientists. I'm not. But I've also seen this in that the positive childhood experiences are actually more impactful. So you can have 2 kids that grew up in the same terrible situation. One of them has some people that pour into her, and one of them doesn't. Even though they went through the same adverse childhood experience, the one that had the positive childhood experiences is going to thrive and have resiliency and have better physical and mental health in the long term than those who don't have the positive. So really, Generations Next is focused on creating those positive childhood experiences. And so we also have 2 other things that I've kind of been volunteering to really try to get up and going, and one of them's a nonprofit childcare, which I know we talked a little bit about, and it was, we were really close, and then, as life happens, like, some things that we were planning on doing fell through, and so we're picking that torch back up. And then our other one is we're over the Robertson County Prevention Coalition. So the nonprofit childcare covers, like, the littles, and then the Prevention Coalition's more focused on creating positive childhood experiences for middle and high schoolers. And we partner really closely with Chosen, with Clarissa Gardner. And
love her.
Yeah, she's actually on the Prevention Coalition over the Youth Coalition. And so that's kind of that's Generations Next. And so a lot of people, when you see flag football, know that that's under the Generations Next umbrella. And so a couple things that we're doing, we're participating this weekend in the Community Care and Action, or Community Care and Connections Fair. That's what it's called. Through the Sheriff's Department has Making a Difference Robertson County. And they're pulling together over 50 services here in Robertson County. We're just talking about what's out there, connecting to resources. This is a resource fair, but we wanted to make it not just for people who need resources, but also for people who want to know how to plug in. You've heard me say a million times, whatever your passion, there's a place for you to plug in. And if you don't know where to plug in with your particular passion, come to the fair. It's at the Cheatham Elementary School from 10 to 2 on Saturday. And there will be over 50 organizations. There's a raffle. Walmart's donated a couple $100 gift cards.
Oh, wow.
So not a raffle. I forget, in Tennessee, we don't say that. There's door prizes. Don't want to get in trouble. We're not gaming. None of that. Door prizes. So yeah, but some really, really cool door prizes, and I know there's a grill, and there's, anyway.
Oh, fun.
So yeah, so come, Cheatham Park Elementary School, 10 to 2 on Saturday. We'll be there, but it's also our opening day of flag football for the spring season. So Bransford Fields are going to be buzzing with kids, just super excited for the new season, and that's been really fun. I know we've been on this show before when we were getting the Bransford Fields cleaned up. I was on here with Pierre and David and Clarissa.
Well, didn't you have to bring in a bunch of dirt too?
We've had to bring in dirt.
It was just like all kinds of stuff that y'all had.
Yeah, like sod and dirt and cleanup, and I mean, there was a lot of glass out there. Anyway, that was a really cool experience. That was a couple of years ago. We just got the community together. I can't even remember what our final number was of how many people and hours were put into cleaning up that area of town. And anyway, but it's really fun now to go out there on a Saturday and see that vision come to life of communities gathering and children being cheered on. And it's amazing. So that's this Saturday. So even if you don't have a kid that plays flag football and you just want to see community in action, come out and cheer on one of our kids. And so that's going on Saturday. But our big fundraiser is May 9th at the fairgrounds. It's the King of the Craw, and this year, so exciting. We're adding a concert to it, and Nico Moon is headlining. I don't know if you are familiar with his music, but I didn't know. I didn't recognize the name.
I think I've heard him at something. I can't remember what it was, but I'm pretty sure I have heard him.
Yeah, well, and I didn't recognize the name because I am terrible with like songs and connecting them to artists. But when I pulled up the on music and started listening to him, I'm like, oh, I do know these songs. So I do. Anyway, so it's a pretty big deal. If you just want to go to the concert, that's $35. You can get a concert only ticket. But then there's also unlimited crawfish for the King of the Craw competition. But before all this, we also have Queen of the Craw. So we have a beauty pageant. So if you have any aspiring beauty pageants out there, I think there's still a few spots open for our beauty pageant as Queen of the Craw. And so that's going to be really fun. And then King of the Craw. And then I need to look up what the name of it is, but it's sanctioned by the official crawfish boil federation, whatever.
Right.
So it's a real competition. So this is it's
like the barbecue thing, because when you have barbecue competitions, there is a sanctioned. My brother-in-law is a big barbecue guy, and so he can tell you all about that. But there are official ones, and they have official judges, and they go across the country, and it is a big deal. So that's what we're doing on the crawfish.
So as soon as it got sanctioned, we started having teams enter from like Texas and all over the South, and so we've got some real competition coming this year. And I'm not that we haven't, because we had some amazing crawfish last year from our locals, but it's just going to be wider this year. So Still Cracker will be there again too. If you're into into crawfish, you probably follow Still Cracker on social media. He's hilarious, and so he'll be there. And then it's going to be a great time.
Do you have your judges? The judges were a big deal last year because we had one of our principals that did that. Larry Staggs.
I'm not over the judges, but they are.
I'm curious. I'm curious if Mr. Staggs is going to get called again, because I know he was super excited about that.
I don't know. I think they may have asked the same ones to return if they gave them the option
I know
first.
Nick Barris was there last year.
Yeah.
I wonder if Nick's coming back.
I don't know. We should.
Okay, we need to hear about
I'm like, I
everybody there. Nick is like a local legend now, because
he is.
He's all over social media and all this stuff, and so you get Nick out, and everybody's like, hey, Nick Barris is going to be there.
So with being a sanctioned event, there'll be new rules because it has to go according to the sanctioned event.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what the.
So the judging.
I don't know much about, but the judging.
Okay.
I think the judges will now be trained by the federation or whatever, for lack of a better word.
Gotcha.
So I think we still are doing local judges, but they'll be trained by these people.
Gotcha.
So it's going to be legit.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay,
and it's and
a little more to it.
Yeah, a little bit more to it, and it's kind of been fun to watch this event. I think we had like 400 people out at Brantford a couple of years ago at our first one, and then it was like over 1,000 people last year, and then who knows how many people are going to show up this year. But with the added concert, it's going to be amazing. And I need to look up who else is all going to be at the concert. But
right?
Yeah, so it'll be at the fairgrounds
like last year.
Yes. So there is a King of the Craw Facebook page. There's a King of the Craw website. You can go and see our whole lineup. We will have Buzzy Pool and Collard Greens playing for our local flavor. And there's a girl. She is beautiful, and I don't remember her name. That's going to be also singing.
I saw something about that too. Let me see if I can find it.
I had this all written down on a piece of paper in the office and then left it. So, Jordan Osborne's going to be our MC, I think. And then, okay, so
Lee Newton.
Lee Newton. Okay, yep. So, yeah. Yeah, so it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Like Buzzy Pool's going to be doing something there, too.
Yeah, he's going to be playing. So Buzzy Pool will be playing.
Mayor Buzzy Pool.
And Collard Greens, also, that's Pierre's band. They'll be playing. And so,
Tyra Madison. There's another one that says Tyra Madison. So we got 2 females.
I heard Southern Cajun Cook-Off Association. That's what the name of the thing is. So it's huge. If you're into that thing, like I grew up in Arizona, the home of the world's oldest rodeo. And so like being an actual like rodeo, sanctioned rodeo, we were tiny, but because we were like part of the professional rodeo circuit, it was a big deal and it brought people from all over. In fact, we have billboards because this has got such a pull. We teamed up with the tourism and they gave us billboards in Clarksville and Louisville.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've got some billboard time in both of those places. So we're hoping really to help pull in people from all over the South.
Oh, I think so. It's going to be huge. My word. Yeah.
So we're super excited.
Very cool. And this is all on May 9th.
All on May 9th, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so
What time does it get started?
That's a good question.
Let's see here.
Let's see. I know
we're both looking and searching all at the same time. Where's the time? There's the banner. Let's see if it's got it on the banner. 3:30.
Okay.
Oh, it's later than I thought. Okay, so it's an afternoon deal.
Yes. Okay. So it's Mother's Day weekend. Bring your mom. And if you're not into crawfish, there will be other food there. So you do not have to be. I've had several people like, I don't do crawfish. That's fine. You don't have to. Who was it? Somebody told me the other day, if it still has eyes attached, that's a no for me. So they're not into the crawfish. There will be fish, but there'll also be food vendors and stuff too. So if you don't want to do that, but you still want to come support a good cause, if you want to support positive childhood experiences, whether
buy a ticket and come.
Buy a ticket and come. Yep. Come. Enjoy the music, enjoy the community, enjoy being part of that. In fact, one of the strongest positive childhood experiences is that children feel connected to their community. And so it's through these community events that families and children feel like they're part of something bigger and it helps them with long-term resiliency physically and mentally. And so come be a part of it, be a part of the community, find a way to plug in. If none of this sounds appealing to you, give me a call and we'll find a place for you to plug in, or come to the Connections Fair on this Saturday. We'll find a place for you to plug in. I just think we live in a day where people just don't care anymore a lot of times because they don't know how to anymore. They don't see the suffering because they're just sitting at home watching TV, or they just keep to themselves, or they have anxiety, so they don't want to go talk to people. And a lot of times our social anxiety comes from just not feeling connected to people. And the only way to get through that is to go connect with people.
Exactly.
So I mean, I know I've gone through phases like that in my life too. Like I get really
me too.
high social anxiety, but it's because I don't feel connected. As soon as I feel connected, I feel a lot better. So
it makes a difference. And I just love that you are so involved in all this stuff. It feels, when I have questions about the community and what's going on, I can usually call Tiff and she can tell me all about it. One thing before we'll come back to the crawfish. There's nobody coming at 7:30, so we got the whole hour. Honey, we can just talk about anything we want to. But this crawfish, the sanctioned, it is part of, let's see, what is the name of the organization again? It is the Southern Cajun Cook-Off Association. And if you go to the King of the Crawfish thing, there is a banner up here that gives you all the competitions leading up to the Crawfish Critic Super Boil, which is on May 22nd. And ours is the last event before that. And it's part of all of that. So if you don't think this is not going to be highly competitive, oh my goodness. I mean, this is a big deal.
It's going to be some people's last chance to get into the Super Boil.
Yeah. And that's what I was just looking at this schedule and I'm like, Oh, my. We're in a very good position there. So there's just no telling who will show up at this thing.
Yeah.
So how fun is that?
Yeah.
Get your tickets. Get your tickets.
Get your
Is there any
tickets.
chance of a sellout on the tickets? Are y'all going to limit
I
the
don't
number?
know. I mean, I would.
'Cause I think you could. I mean, there's just sell all you can.
We're going to try to sell all we can, I think. I mean, I don't know if the fairgrounds has a cap on how many people you're allowed to have out there, but.
No, because you've got look what happens at the 4th of July.
Right. There's a lot of
How
people there.
many come to that?
I can't remember because I went out to the fairgrounds the day we had EMA came out and we had some security people like trying to figure out the security for the concert and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And they were telling us the number that they estimated for 4th of July, and we're like, well, if we got that many, we'll be good. So I don't know if we will.
I think we're fine.
The biggest thing is we really need to gauge how much crawfish to buy, and so so we really want people to buy your tickets ahead of time, if at all possible. If you're coming, please go ahead and get your tickets. More than anything, just so that we know how much we don't want to overbuy crawfish, because obviously that eats into the fundraiser part of this whole thing, right? This really, I mean, as much as this is an event for the community for sure, number one, we want to create positive childhood experiences, but it is a fundraiser at the end of the day, and so we don't want to eat into that.
You want to have enough crawfish, but you don't want to have too much.
Yeah, the first year we ran out of crawfish, and so that was obviously disappointing for people who bought tickets. And so, I mean, they got crawfish, just maybe not all you can eat, and that's what we advertise: all you can eat crawfish. And so, I don't think that was an issue last year. But we did a good gauge on crawfish last year. We didn't have a ton left over either, I don't think. So
good deal.
I'm trying to remember. I wasn't as involved in the food portion of that last year. And so, this year...
doors open at 3:30, May 9th. And so the doors open at 3:30, but the event's from 4 to 9:30, and you're going to start with music and all that. I mean, it's going to be great.
There's going to be... And so the music's going to be kind of where they do the 4th of July... like concert. So we'll have music over there, and then the crawfish boil will be under like the pavilion and stuff like that.
Okay, so the music will be
you'll be able to hear it over the crawfish boil, but hopefully it won't overpower. Be able to have a conversation over there, or you can take your crawfish and go over and excuse me,
sit in the grandstand.
Sit and bring your. I think, bring your chairs, blankets, whatever, come and sit, enjoy the concert, but multiple musicians. And so, and then there's going to be vendors, there's going to be, and not just food vendors, there will be food vendors, but there's going to be all sorts of stuff. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be so incredibly amazing. I'm super excited about it. And I love, if you've ever put on anything like this, which I never have, I will be honest, but it's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And watching how much work that our team of volunteers, actually that's not completely true. The only people that get paid at Generations Next are some of the people who help run the flag football, like my kids. They are facilitators. Two of them are facilitators. They get a little bit of money, but that's it. Like, honestly, all the adults, like, we're all volunteers. We're all just giving over time. And if you have ever seen how much time all of our volunteers are giving, it's pretty impressive that people are giving up so much of themselves, their times, their talents, their connections to make this happen. Asking for sponsorships. If you've ever worked in the nonprofit field, like, obviously the only way to make things happen is to get people to donate, and asking for donations is hard for some of us. I'm not one that loves to ask for donations, but I will come on the show and talk about the thing, and I'd love to do public speaking and tell you about what we're doing and brag on that, but then asking for money at the end is hard. And so, but some of the people are really good at that. And so it's just kind of amazing to see how God has put together this, like, group of people that all have different strengths and passions, and how much they're willing to give of themselves. I'm just in awe every day of our volunteers. They're amazing. And
it's just real simple, guys. Just get online and buy a ticket, whether you're going to go eat crawfish or maybe even you have something going that weekend. Still buy a ticket, because you know it's going to something great. And if it turns out that you're free and you can go, then you're going to go and you're going to have a fabulous time, because it was an event and a half last year. I mean, there was just so much going on and a huge crowd, and just definitely come out and check it out. And if
you can't make it but still want to support, reach out to me and sponsor somebody who maybe not be able to afford it.
Exactly.
I would love to connect members of our community that want to be there but maybe can't afford to be there, and those who want to support but can't make it,
Right.
please reach out to me. I can put my email is tiffany@generationsnexttn.org. But
Do
we
it again,
Tiffany at generationsnexttn.org. Or you can text or call me at 615-476-6174.
Do that again.
615-476-6174.
You always do it twice.
I know. I've been on the radio a lot with you, LaVern. How many times have I got to be on the radio with you?
You started with Casa.
I know.
And I think,
Yeah.
because Casa was first brought you to town, and then United Way, and then Safe Baby, and now, and Generations Next, though, you've been with them pretty much since it started.
I really have, honestly.
So that's been kind of like a side gig.
Well,
a side passion.
No, just
side passion.
a volunteer thing.
Exactly.
But yeah, like Pierre and I connected when I was with United Way when they first were getting their 501c3. And in fact, I think I first met him at Small Town Startup. They were doing like a giving day and pulled together a bunch of nonprofits. And so I went to kind of see all who was there. And then I met Pierre, and then we we worked collaboratively on the Brownsford cleanup through United Way, and I was hooked with about Generations Next after that. And so, and just the mission of really trying to make sure that the youth of our community are seen, that they're loved, that they're cared about, that they have adults that care about them in their lives, and really trying to create not just coaches for our sports programs, but people who are going to be mentors to them, and really help them, with their emotional regulation and, all sorts of things. And so we're really trying to pour into our coaches. A lot of people say, well, because it's all prevention, right? And you never really know your impact when you're focused on prevention, but they're like, well, where do you start? Do you start with the parents? Do you start with the kids? Do you start with the babies? I'm like, you can't. You cannot pick one and say it's more important than the other. It's got to be a whole systems approach to humanity, really, in general. Connect our seniors with our, with our littles, and all sorts. It's just really pouring into the community is really where it's at. So,
and I have to tell you, it's I talk a lot about some of this. I listen to podcasts all the time. I'm listening to churchy stuff, Christian stuff all the time. And Tim Mackey is the guy who did the Bible Project, and he's the one who does all the cartoons on. They've got Bible story cartoons, and they're just amazing. And he's brilliant. I was listening to him talk about the story of Exodus and Mount Sinai and the law and all this kind of stuff. And he goes, it was just teaching us it was law saying, do the right thing, be the right thing. And that's what God's called us all to. It's what he called the children of Israel to be, is to be different than what the world was. Just be different. Be my hands and feet. Be, that's why he put Israel in the crossroads of the world, the location. If you look at where Israel was located in the beginning, it was placed there because that's where everybody came through. So they could see what it looked like when heaven came down to earth. Of course, they kind of messed it up, and that was the whole
because
whole reason.
We're people, right?
Yeah, because we're people, and and that's the story throughout the Old Testament is like, well, God did this, and then we did this, and it's the story to all of us, and it's just quite simple that when you do the things that God's calling you to do, you can't help but just be part of the solution and, change your community from the inside out, And I've said this many times on here, and I'll just say it again. When I first started going down to Mexico and working down there through Baja Missions, and I know it's been over 10 years now, but we go down, and there's a place called the City of Children in Ensenada. It's been around probably 60 years now, and it's an orphanage, but a lot of the kids there, their parents are still alive. They just have no way to care for them. They don't have any money. They don't have any food, and they don't want to sit there and watch their children starve. And so they would take their kids and leave them at the City of Children so somebody could help them. And some of the kids were true orphans, but the people that were leading it, and I wish I could, get the names off the top of my head, but I don't recall them immediately. But they said, what can we do to prevent this situation from happening? Let's see if we can't kind of change these communities. And so they started going down the Baja Peninsula. And, I forget which, probably there in Ensenada, it was the first place. And they started by helping develop a church community, because that church community then started serving the community in an organized way. So it could change the community from the inside out. And the difference that it's made through the entire society as these churches have gone in and started changing things from the inside out has been breathtaking. And you can see the tangible evidence just so clearly when you're down there doing that work. And I can remember when I first went down there, and I was like, why can't we do this in America? And then it was really about that same time that I started learning about my community, because I've always been involved in Nashville radio. And even though I've lived here since 92, I didn't really know anything about Robertson County. And I started doing this show and doing things that helped me understand what was going on in the community. And I learned about CASA and Open Door and the United Way, and
add generations next to that list.
Generation. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But all these different amazing things that are doing that, they're changing the community from the inside out. And it's been so interesting. People don't ask me about, the political world anymore, because they know I've checked out, but I'm not checked out. I do what God has put as my responsibility, and I vote and I follow and I study and I stay on top of it. But I'm not in a leadership role in that anymore. I was for a little while, and ran for office, and people are always coming to me. I'm so and I don't mean to sound mocking, but I would get all the time. I'm so concerned about my country, which I have moments like that too. I'm so concerned about it. What can I do? And I said, get in there and just do. All these organizations, Isaiah House, I didn't mention that one. I just, decisions, choices, and options. I have all these places that are coming in, and they are changing the community from the inside out. And Generations Next. And I love the Generations Next. I mean, did y'all come up with that?
It was long before my time. It wasn't me.
I wonder who came up with that.
In fact, I didn't know the flag football wasn't, that was already the nonprofit was called Generations Next, and the flag football was under it. And I don't know why or how that ended up happening. But when we started talking about doing a childcare, Pierre's like, well, I think that was the first time I heard Generations Next. Well, he's like, well, our nonprofit's Generations Next. What if we call it Generations Next Academy? And I was like, I love that. So that's what our nonprofit childcare, that does not exist yet, but I am meeting with a landlord later this morning. So
good.
So we are still, so if anybody knows actually of any property that could, we're even looking at houses, to rent a house, to run a childcare out of, to get started. Eventually, those who know our big project that we're working on is an indoor athletic safe room. So it's going to be a building that we're going to be able to do indoor athletics at, but and our fields will be out there, but also it's a FEMA safe room for tornadoes, and it is in a neighborhood where most people don't have storm shelters or any other place that they could go to in case of a tornado or other weather. So it's going to be a safe room, a FEMA safe room, but it's also going to have a childcare facility there. But we got to work up to that. So if you know of any place where we could get started, if you've got space that you think would be great, please also give me a call or an email or whatever, and I would love to come check it out. So we are hoping to get something up and running by the next school year. So
okay, very good, because so many people need help with the childcare. It's just such a constant need. And
really it came to my attention. I was fortunate enough that I should say I sacrificed a lot to be able to stay home when my kids were little, but I had 4 kids in 4 years. Even with a college degray, there's no way I could afford childcare, right? So we sacrificed a lot for me to be able to stay home. But I have such a passion for it because I've heard the stories where people, they qualify for childcare, but there's not a seat available. And so maybe I've told this story before on here, but I had a friend who she qualified for a voucher, but there was no place. So she just hired somebody off of Facebook, and that she didn't have the resources to run a background check or anything like that. And so, and then this nanny took her daughter to her boyfriend's house where her daughter was molested. And so, like, knowing that there are children that are being put in harm's way just because we don't have enough seats.
Yep.
Enough voucher spots. I mean, since then we've had another childcare open up, and I know we're not the only ones trying to solve this problem, but that broke my heart. Like, children need to be safe. They need to be able to be in, especially, I mean, always, but early childhood, the most impressionable time in their lives. Mm-hmm. And so, and then you also have families that no longer qualify for vouchers, but they're not really capable to do it on their own. We call that the benefits cliff. We want to help be able to fundraise to help fill that benefits cliff, to be able to, and you can only do that through nonprofit. That's why we were focused on doing a nonprofit childcare instead of just childcare, so that we could kind of help fundraise and scholarship for those families that are in that. And then we want to also make sure that we are doing evidence-based early childhood, like the best things possible for these kids, right? So we're very focused on creating positive childhood experiences for our littlest through this nonprofit childcare initiative. So, and we really, really want up and running by the fall. So
that'd be awesome.
If anybody's got connections on how to get us there, please reach out.
I love it. And go ahead and give them your contact info again, your email twice, and your phone number twice, and we need to do an ad.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was like,
I'm pulling some stuff up. Yeah.
No, you're good.
Well,
okay. So my email is Tiffany, Tiffany. See, I don't have my last name in this one, so we don't have to like worry about how my last name's spelled. But Tiffany at generationsnexttn.org. Again, that's Tiffany at generationsnexttn.org. And my phone number is 615-476-6174. Again, that's 615-476-6174.
And it's a really good thing we didn't have anybody else coming in today, because we had plenty to talk about.
Of course.
'Cause it's 10 till, and we need to talk about Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. They have got an open house Saturday they want to invite you to. It's up in Franklin, Kentucky. And a lot of people consider moving. I've got a good friend of mine that she works right here in Springfield, but she lives across the state line because they could get more bang for their buck. And I know that it is an option for a lot of folks, because we're right here. I mean, we're just very close to the state line. So if, living up in Kentucky is something you want to consider, that income tax has come down some, that state income tax, because my family lives up there. I'm from Kentucky. The Richards, Barry and Rebecca are from Kentucky, so we understand it. And so if you want to, take a look at a property up in Kentucky, this is in Franklin, Kentucky. They're going to have an open house. It's at 257 North Fairway Road in Franklin, Kentucky, 11 to 1 on Saturday. The market's really starting to heat up. So if you're a buyer, and maybe you've been kind of, taking your time thinking, oh, wow, it's a buyer's market, it's going to heat up and there's going to be more competition for you buyers. And so you need to really get moving on it. And if you've got something you have your eye on it, you better get moving on it, because this is the time when people really start to make things happen. It really starts during spring break. And then as you go into summer break, that's when people move, because they don't want to interrupt their children's school year, those types of things. So I'm going to see a lot of movement in the housing industry. If you have any interest, reach out to Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. You can go to sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or BUYRobertsonCounty.com. You can call them at 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425 or 7424. Rebecca's office is in White House. She has an agency office up in White House that they do have a broker that can broker deals in Kentucky. Laws have changed in Kentucky. Not everybody can. Barry has a brokerage office here in Springfield. And so everything you need, Exit Prime Realty, Exit's company that Rebecca's been with from the entire time. The Exit Prime is just a new branch in the tree. They were with the Garden Gate team for a long time. And we can't say enough about the expertise that Barry brings to the table when it comes to marketing. He was a vice president of a media marketing company for 17 years up in Nashville before he went full-time with real estate. And that expertise, I mean, it was so fun. They were in here. I came in on a couple of days during my spring break. And on St. Patrick's Day, they came in and he recorded some stuff. And he took the logo that we had and he animated it and put it up. I'm like, how did you do that? I mean,
cool.
Just is the coolest stuff that he knows how to do. And he's gonna help me with a field trip at my house next Thursday and teach some kids about drones and cameras, settings outside and all this kind of stuff, because he's my expert go-to when it comes to audio and video. And he's that expert that can help you make sure your property gets sold because it's seen in the best light. Drone footage, walkthrough tours, the photography, the videography, everything you need. He's got it, and he's an expert at it. So reach out to them today. Barry and Rebecca Richards, Exit Prime Realty, sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buy, BUY, and please always let them know that you turned Cincha. Oh, and we've got Valor Mortgage is going to come on and start advertising. I'm so excited. We talked to them about that yesterday, so we got to work all that out. So we may have them back. We may have them on by next week, but I got to get some info from him, and you're fine.
I wasn't planning on being here. So
that's fine. But we've got a few more minutes now.
And UPS Store is one of your sponsors, right?
One of our sponsors, and I was actually messaging them to get some what's new on the ad, and so I didn't hear from them yet. So we'll put them in tomorrow.
Well, I'll shout out to the UPS Store.
They're just awesome.
Thomas Fox has actually been one of the people that's helped us get the childcare stuff up and running. Justin is my co-chair on the childcare committee, and he's the manager at the UPS Store. And anytime I need anything printed, I walk in and I'm like, hey, they're amazing. Like they've printed business cards for me recently. I think I've got a whole list of things for Justin to print for this weekend for the Community Connections Fair. So yeah, I've had banners made. In fact, when I was Safe Baby, they donated a reusable like graduation banner that
fun.
that we could like add stuff onto, and yeah, they do a lot. I know Thomas Fox has a heart for the community also.
Yes,
like he
big.
He gives so much back through organizations and willing to just kind of help with anything. So yeah, I mean, they're huge supporters of Generations Next. We could not do what we do without them.
I had a little flyer to help sell. I'm terrible at sales. I'm terrible. I need to get all my sponsorships done so I can just log them in. I need a couple of Barry and Rebecca's, and I'm hoping Valor's going to be one of those because
Chris is awesome.
I hate selling stuff. But I love talking about these folks because these are people in the community. When you sponsor this program, it's got to be somebody I can really
get behind.
Say,
yep.
Yeah, I not just anything can be, because I've had people approach, can I do this? I'm like, no.
Yeah,
I can't. I'm sorry, but anyway, there was a pawn shop one time. And nothing against pawn shops, but having been a roofing contractor for 20 years and had so many tools stolen from us that showed up in pawn shops all the time with our numbers on them, I just have a little bit of a with pawn shops a lot of times. And I don't know anything about the pawn shops locally or anything like that, but I was like, I just don't feel comfortable because I don't really know. I mean, I guess if I knew you, but that was one I turned down a pawn shop one time because I was like, I don't think so. And so I'm particular about who I do ads for. So we only have just 3 spots available per show. So we're going to sell out here pretty quickly. So I'm pretty excited. That's awesome. But he printed my flyers for me the other day, and I went to pay him. He's like, I'm like, dude,
I can't tell you how many times. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I know.
I've had some surgeries, and I have another one coming up, and I had to put together this like 200-page document to go to the insurance company to get it all approved, and I did not know how to get it all. They're like, it needs to be one PDF, and I was like, but it was like all my medical records for over like the last 10 years.
Bless your heart.
So like I was like, I don't know how to do that. Justin's like, oh, just do this. He's like, just bring it in, and he like put it all together for me in like one document, and like anyway, like just amazing. I'm not saying that they I'm not trying to give away their business, but I'm just saying they will work with you on anything that you've got going on.
It's so funny because Barry Richards, the marketer, he's like, LaVern, you need to have a 1 street over sign or something behind you right here. And so I was talking to Tom about it the other day, and he was like, oh yeah, we could, print something like, they do their big head prints that we could, something we could hang up, maybe 1 street over, and then the WSGI little microphone logo that Lee Marie's come up with. So something to kind of go back here, and I mean, they're just anything. It's so funny on their banners, and so I'll do the UPS ad tomorrow because it'll be an official ad. We're just talking about you now because we love you, Tom, and
free advertising.
There you go. But it's so funny because on their site it says we don't want to say we're the everything store, but we are, or something like that. I'll have to pull it back up because it was really kind of funny. It made me giggle because I thought, yep, you kind of are. It says, where is it? It was so funny. Where'd it go? Oh well. It was just a little banner they had up there. It said, well, yeah, the everything store. It's like right there on their
That's
cover thing.
hilarious.
Yeah, it's anything. They're the everything store. They're the everything store. Anyway, according to our calculations, we are the everything store. So anyway, just
and they're the Chick-fil-A of the everything store. I don't know if you've ever worked with anybody in there.
I say
They're
that all the time.
good. They're just like, and the shout out to
say
Chick-fil-A.
it all the
Shout out
time.
to Chick-fil-A. Mitch is amazing. He's also huge in the community. Really helps. A great community partner with Chick-fil-A. We're so grateful they came. But yeah, they treat their employees are
like Chick-fil-A employees.
I like Chick-fil-A employees. Yep.
Chick-fil-A, when they started getting notoriety, they were like the first ones that really put customer service. You got to have customer service. And they just did it. It's like, my pleasure and all this kind of stuff. And when first time I walked into UPS, I'm like, this reminds me of Chick-fil-A.
Yep. Treating people with dignity never goes out of style. Just saying.
It doesn't. And what was hysterical, I was in there one day and they were printing something for Chick-fil-A.
That's awesome.
I know. I loved it. It was like full circle. Anyway,
Full circle.
I think we're done, Tiff. It's 8 o'clock.
All right. Well, it was so good hanging out with you.
Remind them of the crawfish boil May 9th.
May 9th at 3:30. Come get your tickets. Come eat crawfish or don't. We don't care. We just want to see you there. We want everybody in our community to come out, have a good time. Let's bond together over creating positive childhood experiences for children and create some positive experiences for yourself by coming. And
How about that?
So
I love it. And as a matter of fact, I got my crawfish tickets last year at the UPS store.
that's awesome.
Oh, I stopped in. That's where I bought them. So I'm sure they'll have them.
And come this Saturday. If you don't know how to plug into our community, please come Saturday. Cheatham Park Elementary School, 10 to 2 for making a difference. The Sheriff's Department has put a lot into making this happen. And did I say department? It's Sheriff's Office. I have been corrected. Anyways, the Sheriff's Office has done a lot to put into this event. So if you don't know where to plug in, if you want to get more involved, please come. There's going to be over, like I said, 50 organizations. And so come join us. Come hang out with us.
Come join. Absolutely. And we will be back tomorrow for Faith Friday on 1100 WSGI and 1 Street over. Thank you, Tiff. We'll get you back in before the crawfish bowl.
Yes, please do.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Again, this is 1100 WSGI. Have a fabulous day. God bless.